this morning, but I've decided to start standing. And we'll start with the usual neck rotation. So have your hips, your feet, your hips, that's a good start, hip distance apart, and then just pulling in your abdominals. If I turn sideways, really imagining you've got a zip at the front of the abdominals, just pulling in here, so the belly button's pulling through to the spine, and then imagine a rolling pin just rolling over those ribs. You're tucking those ribs in. Rotate the shoulders back and down, and then just bring the neck in line with your spine. So don't worry about giving yourself a couple of double chins. And from here, just gently rotating. Hi, is that Vicky? Your head to one side. Hi, Vicky. Just gently rotating your head to one side, and then back to center, and to the other side, and back to center. And again, exhaling as you rotate. Inhale as you come back to the center. Exhale, rotate. Inhale, back to the center. Now we're going to drop the ear to the shoulder. Oh, that's tight tonight. Cool. Today. So now stretch the opposite fingers down to the floor. Really getting that lovely stretch down the side of that neck, possibly feeling it even down into the shoulder. And then lift the head back up, grow the neck long, and gently drop it down to the other side. Reach the fingers down, get lovely stretch down that big old muscle there beside of the neck. And then back up. And again, one more each side. Reaching and stretching the opposite fingers down to the floor. And back up, lengthening in the neck as you go, stretching the fingers down to the floor. Good. And then bring it back up in a shoulder shrug. Inhale as you shrug the shoulders up. Exhale as you flop them down. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more. Inhale, exhale. We're going to roll the shoulders now. Forward, back and down. Forward, back and down. Watching, of course, that the ribs aren't going with it. So we're not getting this action. It's just the shoulders in isolation. Feeling that stress just disappear. Relaxing in that neck. Nice. Good. And then from here, we're going to bend the knees slightly. We're going to come into our windmills as we bring the arms up. Inhale at the top. Exhale as you release. Inhale up. Exhale, release. Really flop the arms. Let them relax. And yeah. Lovely, and then just bring them to your sides. Bring the arms out to the sides and have the palms facing forward. Now rotate the arms in so the backs of the hands are facing forward. And gently just keep going just till it's just stretchy. And then unrotate, come back the other way. So the palms of your hands are now facing towards the back, your little fingers leading the way. So I'll just come closer to the mirror to show you what I'm doing. I'm doing a whole arm rotation here, going to the back and back round, just feeling the rotation available to me there. In and out with both arms, in and out. So you get a full rotation going in that arm, that little finger really leading the way round towards the back. Feeling that in your back, hopefully, a little bit. Make sure the ribs are tucked in though, otherwise they'll be taking that stretch. Now bend the elbows and just spread the fingers. Might need to come closer again. So I'm going to use the fingers as if I've got them on dials, and I'm just bringing the elbows in and up. Keeping the shoulders down. Just trying to release the shoulder blades. A lot of tension in the shoulder blades, especially if you're sitting at PC quite a lot. And up and down. And up and down. Good. And fabulous. Now, if you've got a couple of tins of soup or you have got weights, grab those. We're just going to do some squats here now. Whatever you've got handy for weights. If you haven't got weights, don't worry, we can do fine without. So I'm going to show you sideways. We're going to come into a hinge squat. So we're going to bend the knees, we're going to flatten in the back and fold from here, from the front of the hips. Nice flat back. Pulling that tummy in the whole time, so don't let that go. And just pop the lower ribs up into the rib cage. And then at the same time, your weights will come up with your arms level with your ears. And then inhale to release. As you exhale, you'll come down again. Tummy in, ribs in. Inhale, exhale, and down. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. Think about tummy and ribs. Bringing the arms level with your ears. Four more. Keeping the tummy in. Squeezing the glutes as well now. One more. Good. And then coming up, put the weights to one side for a moment. I'm going to come to the back of the mat, take a roll down. I'm just going to tilt my screen down, so I'm going to go headless now, but you then will be able to see me when I'm down on the mat. So have your micro bend in your knees, and we're going to take our roll down. So drop your chin to your chest, and then curl down one vertebrae at a time. That slight bend in your knees. Allow your weight of your arms and your head to help you go down. But make sure you keep your abdominals switched on the whole time. Keep pulling that belly button to that spine. So you've got that feeling like you're hanging over a monkey bar. And just relax down here. And notice where the weight is on your feet. So have you favoured one foot over another? Try and get your weight even here. Inhale at the bottom, exhale, pull the abdominals in and slowly uncurl one vertebrae at a time. Now tuck your tail under as soon as you can, because we want that mobility in your spine. Tummy in, ribs in as you flatten up to a stacked spine. And go again, dropping the chin to the chest, curling down. We're going to go all the way down this time. Pulling the abdominals in, curling down. And just hang for a few minutes. Well, it won't be a few minutes, let's face it, that would be ridiculous. A few seconds. Inhale, and then we find the mat with our hands. And we're going to come into 4-point kneeling. Make sure you can see me. Yes, you can. Now rotate your shoulders back and down, because I'd like you to think about keeping the collarbone across the front of the chest really nice and wide, and bringing your lats down towards your pelvis as these muscles down the back here, down towards your hips. And pull in the abdominals so you aren't arching in your back. And try to avoid this arch feeling. So pulling the abs in, just pop the lower ribs back into the rib cage. And float the head in line with your spine. Inhale here, exhale, and we're going to pull into angry cat. So pulling in the abdominals, curling that tail under. Then trying to curl in that mid back, that really difficult stiff area. And then finally in the upper back, getting that lovely stretch into that spine, pushing into the mat with your hands so you get that extra stretch, like you're curling around a large beach ball. Inhale at the top and exhale as you flatten back into a nice elongated spine. So your head is going in front of you, your tailbone going behind. Inhale, exhale, and curling in. Curling up, allowing the head just to pop down in a natural line with the movement. Inhale, and then exhale as you flatten back out. One more time. Inhale, exhale, curling in. I've got those annoying fruit flies in here again off one of my plants. So if you see me randomly swiping the air, that's what I'm doing. We're going to do our arm and opposite leg slide. So find your stability in your torso. Your whole challenge in this exercise is to keep your torso completely still as you now switch over to one arm and opposite leg sliding away from you. As you exhale, inhale and bring it all back in. Change sides. The other arm and opposite leg, so really good for coordination, is now stretching away from you. Just notice this hip will want to turn out. Keep the hips level with the floor. Inhale, back to the center. Exhale and slide. Keep that torso still. Just imagine you've got a tray of drinks on your back and you mustn't spill them. Exhale and slide. Inhale and back. We're going to add on the lift now. So exhale and lift. Bring that arm up by that ear. Drop the hip so it's level with the floor, but keep the abdominals on. Inhale, come back. Sliding, changing side. Exhale and lift. Keeping the hip down, tummy in. Inhale and back. One more each side. I'm just going to watch you, so keep going. Sliding that arm out and leg up. Lovely, very nice. Just make sure you've got a micro bend in those elbows. Forgot to say it today. And back in, and final time. Sliding out. Lovely. Good. No, oh. Nice. And then bring it back in. Fabulous. From here, back in your 4-point kneeling, we're going into thread needle. So just slide, take your right hand first. You're going to run the back of your hand between your arm and your thigh, but keep your thighs at a 90-degree angle if you can, and try and keep your weight evenly spread over your knees as you reach that arm through and get that gorgeous shoulder stretch. That is so nice if you're tight in the shoulders. Inhale, exhale, pushing up your supporting hand, changing sides. Inhale, exhale, reaching through with the other hand. Reach, 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 reach. Imagine you're getting something out from underneath the sofa. In my case, it would be a jigsaw piece. I'm pretty sure I hoovered one up the other day. Inhale, I'll find out when I get to the end. Exhale and push up. One more each side. Inhale, exhale. Heard that terrible clatter as the hoover went in that general area. Oh no. Inhale and back up. Final time, reaching through. Lovely, lovely shoulder stretch. And then pushing back up. Fabulous. Grab your ball, or your inflatable, whatever you've got that you can place behind your hamstring and between your calf. There's that fruit fly. Go. Lovely. So squidge that in there. And we're going to do some donkey kicks. Stomping on the ceiling. Got it. So annoying. They come out the plants. So pulling the abdominal up, shoulders back and down, ribs in. Inhale here. Exhale. Now you're going to lift that leg off the floor. So you're on 3 points of contact. And we want that thigh, if possible, level with the floor, but without arching in that spine. Do you know what? That fly is bouncy. It's not dead. And then pulling the abdominals in just to counteract that lumbar spine arch. And then gently pulsing the leg to the ceiling. 5, 4, 3, 2. Squeeze the glutes and in and lower the leg. Bring the leg through to the nose. Inhale. Exhale. We're going again with that leg. Taking the thigh parallel to the floor. And pulling the tummy in. Pulsing 5. 4, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the back of the hamstring. 2, 1. I am squeezing the back of the hamstring, they all say I've got cramp. And switch over. Place the ball between the back of the hamstring and the calf on the other leg. Rotate those shoulders back and down, pulling the abs in, the ribs up. Inhale, exhale, and lift that leg up. Try and get that thigh parallel to the ceiling. Pulling the tummy in now so you don't use the back arch to help you. Pulsing that leg behind. 5. You want to use the glute strength and the hamstring strength, the back of that thigh, to pulse that leg towards the ceiling. It's not a huge move. And then bring that knee back in. As you inhale, bring the knee towards the nose. And exhale, taking it through again. Another 5. 5 and 4 and 3. And 2, like you're kicking your foot on the ceiling. And 1. And then bring it back down. And take the ball out. Just have a little rest back onto your haunches. And stretch your arms out in front. Elongate your spine, reaching your fingers a little bit forward and really feeling that lovely stretch in that spine. Oh, nice. And then slowly, slowly curling up to seated, using your abdominals, of course. We're coming into our forearm plank. So have your forearms and your fingers interlaced, your forearms here, pushing your forearms into that mat. So that connection with pushing the edge of the forearms into the mat is the one you want to keep going the whole time. You're still really pulling in your abdominals and your rib cage. And then inhale to prepare. As you exhale, you'll send your left leg behind and then your right leg behind it. You're going to drop into plank. So your tail is now in line with the back of your head and your heels, hopefully, pulling in your tummy. Holding here for 5. Keep pushing into that mat. 3, 2, 1. Lowering one leg and then the other. Now we're going to bring the knees underneath a little bit more, toes tucked under. And we're going to come into a little hover. So just lift the knees off the floor, only about an inch. Pushing the forearms into the mat. Tummy in, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't come down to the floor. Come up into down dog stretch. So trying to get your ears between your biceps of your arms. And then your heels down to the floor. Gently bringing your chest through to the mat underneath you, to the wall behind really. And then coming down into your hover, knees off the floor an inch, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just lower back down. Come back onto your haunches and have another stretch of the spine. Let's walk the hands round to one side, but leaving the hips where they are. So we get a lovely side stretch. Arms go all the way round. When you can't go any further, take one hand, your hand on the shorter squidgy side of you, and gently take hold of your other wrist. And just give it a little gentle pull, a little bit of gentle pull on that wrist so you get a lovely stretch underneath the armpit and the side of the body. And then walking around to the other side. So it's not a yank at all, it's just a gentle coaxing of the muscles. I'm in the salad over here. Oh no, I'm not, I'm in the candlestick holder. Gently, that's it, lovely. And when you've got as far as you can, you're going to take your inside hand, the one on the shorter side of your body where you're all scrunched up. Take hold of the other wrist and give it a gentle, gentle, gentle stretch down that side. Right, find your tighter one side than the other. I know I certainly am this morning. And then walking back to the center. Use your abdominals to come up. We always use the abdominals, mainly just your abdominals to come up. So really use the power, strength in your tummy to come up. Fabulous. We're going to come into kneeling now. So I'll face you for this one. Have your arms Cossack style. Ooh, I'm worn out. I've only just got going. Fabulous. We're all there. And then from here, we're going to sit to one side. No arms. Just trying to keep the movement nice and slow. And then coming up again. Ooh. Yeah. Lovely, lovely. And back down to the other side. Try not to jerk the movement. Try and keep it smooth. And down. Such a small, simple, annoying exercise. That's something we could all do easily as kids. Oh. And lots of things going on here. Lovely. Reaching. We've got that newly stretched side. So reaching and up. Squeeze the glutes as you come forward so the hips are level. And down. And up. And down. Fabulous. Now just sit to one side. Take hold of your ankle. Here. Your hand is long. And then try and see if you can get both sit bones on the floor. It's not always easy. And then we're going to lift the arm up and take it over and have a lovely stretch over this side. It's not a huge movement, but it will get better as we work through this exercise. Make sure you're not here. You see a few just a little bit forward. You want to be directly sideways, like you're between two panes of glass. And then stretch up to the ceiling with that arm, place it down, send both hip bones down to the floor, and reach with the other hand over to the other side. So I've got the supporting elbow a little bit bent, so I'm not pushing up into that shoulder. Stretch, reach that opposite hip down into the floor, so your sit bones are touching. And then come back up and change. Go back to the other side. Reaching over, see if you can get that little millimetre further, just a smidgen. And up. Now take the hand a little bit further away and stretch again, reaching the opposite hip down to the floor. See if you can get that both hip bones down to the floor, tailbone down to the floor. And back up. Try not to push on the hand to come up. Try and use the strength of the underneath of your body to come up. And then final stretch. Over, reach, 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 and up. Take that hand a little bit further this way. So this will be a bit more challenging to get up without yanking our way up. Now bend the elbow so the forearm is on the floor. See if you can get that hip down. And mine's not, it's not touching, but I'm getting a lovely stretch. Reaching long with those fingers. Now as you come up, you're going to use the strength underneath the armpit and in the back muscles here and in your abdominals to come up. And try not to use the hand to come up. Fabulous. Keep the arms to the side. Bring the legs round, off the floor, and change sides. Take hold of the ankles. Fabulous. See if you can get both sit bones down. And I'm going to reach over to one side. Ooh. So if you've got a tighter side. And up. And then place the hand down. And then send your sit bones down as you go to the other side. Reach, reach, reach. Up. And again. Over. It's a rotten stretch this because it doesn't feel like you're going very far. But it gets dramatically better the more you do it. And a little bit further with that supporting hand this time. And up. And over. And then take the hand quite a little bit further away this time. And reach, bring the forearm down to the floor. Get a lovely stretch, sending that hip bone down to the floor. Seeing if you can just aim the sit bones down so they're sitting together. And then coming up using the strength of under your armpit, your back and your obliques rather than your hand to come back up. Looking good, fabulous, marvellous. So I'm going to have a roll like a ball now. My favourite, just gets us really warmed up, warms the spine up, and it's a little bit of fun. So curl into a ball. Imagine you have got your ball in there. You don't need to have it in there, just imagine it's in there, and you've got to keep it in there, you mustn't let it go. So from here, I had my breakfast a bit too late for this one. Inhale, exhale, you're going to roll back and come up, staying in your ball. Exhale, as you roll back. Inhale as you come up. This is lovely for the spine, really warms it up. Encourages fluid exchange around the vertebrae as well, which is no bad thing at all. And up. Adding on if you can we balance? Can we come up to a balance? So roll and balance. Whoa, missed it. Roll and balance. There we go. Roll and balance. I just did it. One more. And balance. Staying in your balance now. Have your hands behind your thighs. And then we're just going to extend one leg. You can have your feet just off the floor. What I'm looking for is a nice wide collarbone across the front of that chest. And a nice strong straight spine. You might be looking for that this day, but what you get is another thing. Really using the abdominals and the upper back here, and then bring both legs into tabletop. Fabulous. And see if we can extend both legs up. And then if we can, take the arms away. Marvellous. That looks fabulous. Well done. I'm so impressed. Well done, you look great. So from here, grab your ball. We're going into the abdominal series. That was just the prep for it. Have your ball behind you, about, what have I got there? Roughly about 3 or 4 inches. And I'm going to sit up nice and tall, arms in front. Now, if you want to, I like to, it's up to you. You can use your weights as well for this one. Have your weights in front if you're using them. Arms nice and straight, level with the shoulders. Inhale, you're going to pull the abdominals in so much that it starts to curl the spine. It's not a shoulders coming forward action. The shoulders stay in their back pockets. The action is in the tummy and in flattening the ribs. And then you're going to come down to meet your ball, but you're not going to depend on your ball, you're going to depend on your abs. Inhale, exhale, and keep the abdominals going. As you come forward, keep the curl in the spine. I want to see that huge beach ball, imaginary beach ball in there. When your shoulders are over your hips, then restack the spine. We'll go again. Inhale, exhale, coming down to your ball. Keep the abs on, I'm holding it here. Inhale, exhale, bring your shoulders over your hips, and then restack the spine, moving up all slightly further away. Now there's a good 6-7 inches there, that's probably about a foot. So, and inhale, exhale, pulling the abs in, come off your sit bones, flattening the ribs. And then coming down, find your ball, thinking, oh my God, how far back is that ball? And holding it here, inhale, exhale, and then bringing the arms forward. When the shoulders are over the hips, then restacking the spine, so we're getting that mobility we're thinking about. And then the ball goes a bit further away. So it's probably on your shoulders now. Inhale, exhale, and coming down. Leaving those weights forward. Tins of soup is actually better than these because they're heavier and they help. Weirdly. Keeping the tummy flat. Don't rely on that ball relaxing in the neck. Just have room for a sort of imaginary peach under your neck. Inhale, exhale, coming up. Keep going. Shoulders over the hips and then restack. Now I'm going to take the ball away and not use it now. Up to you. You can keep that in there if you have an iffy lower back or your core is particularly weak. You can stick with it, but I'm going to stick without now. So I'm just going to move my ball away. And we're going to come back down. We're going to find that biting point, that point at where you are just shaking and only just able to keep your feet on the floor. And then from here, we're going to move one arm to the side, level with your shoulder. And back. Don't let go of those abs. Relaxing in the neck. We want the tension in the abdominals. The other arm out to the side now. And in. And then coming over. So your shoulders come over your hips and then restacking the spine. Inhale, exhale, going again. Find that biting point. You should be shaking. Shaking is good. That's the nervous system recruiting all the muscles it needs to recruit. We're going to take both arms gently to one side, don't go very far, and then back to the center, and then to the other side, and back to the center. Really feeling it now in those abs. At first it seemed easy, and then stacking the spine, and again, inhale, exhale. I'm going to open both arms up to the side. Once we've got to that biting point, and I'm really feeling my feet want to come off, so I'm just coming just before that, so that I'm on my tummy and not in my legs. Then I'm going to open up both arms to the side. And then back to the center and curling up, flattening that tummy. We've got one more each side to do here and then we're done. We're going down, we're going to open the arms, and then when we're there, we're going to rotate to one side. I'm saying it here because I might not be able to talk when I get there. So inhale, exhale, and coming down. Find that biting point again. Shaking like a leaf, it's like an earthquake here. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, rotate. Back to the center. Inhale, exhale, and rotate. And then bring the arms in front and pull the tummy in nice and flat. Lovely. And then come all the way up. We're going to come all the way down now. So through your roll down. See if you can control that descent. Leave the weights forward all the way down. Fabulous. And we're going to have the ball underneath the pelvis. Grab the ball again. Place it underneath. If you haven't got one, that's fine. You don't need to. You can do it without. And then we're going to bring one leg and then the other over the chest. And from here, we're going to take them straight into tabletop. If you know you're weak in the core and your stomach is already really, you're barely able to stop yourself going into an arched spine from here, just bring your knees a little bit closer and work towards a 90-degree angle. But otherwise, we're going to start with a single leg stretch. So we're going to have one leg stretch parallel to the floor, the other one over the chest. And switch. Inhale as you change, exhale as you switch. Now I'm wanting your abdominals to hold your spine in place, with the ball helping you stay in that neutral position, keeping that spine nice and elongated. All in the tummy, nothing else. Relax the neck, relax the shoulders, the backs of the arms and the hands on the floor. I've put you on a ball to challenge your stability. As if it wasn't enough to be giving you abdominal exercises, I'm now putting you on a wobbly object. Lovely. And from here, we're going to add on, but if that was enough of a challenge, I can't stress enough, stick with that. You just do that one again, that's fine. But if you would like to add on, we're going to have the fingers interlaced behind the head. And then just sink the ribs down to the mat and lift the head and shoulders up. Now you're just using the hands like a hammock. So not pulling on the neck, just relaxing the neck into this hammock. And then we're going again with a single leg stretch. We're going to do 20, 50, 40, 30, 11, and 10, and 9. See if you can keep that mobility going. Final one, and bring the knees in. And we're just going to lose that ball for a minute. One more exercise in the ab series today. We're quite focused on the abdominals today. And then we can hug our knees with pure relief. So bring your legs into tabletop. Have your hands behind your head again, your fingers interlaced. And again, sink the ribs, the shoulders rotate back and down. So you're nicely positioned now. Inhale, exhale, and lift. And then we're going to rotate the right elbow to the left hip and send the opposite leg long. Inhale, exhale, switch. Inhale, exhale, switch. And bring that elbow down to the floor of that opposite hand. And switch. Exhaling as you extend and rotate. Inhaling as you change. Two more. One more. And then bring them in, hug the knees. Oh, I don't know about anyone else, but my tummy's really on the old Jane Fonda bird a bit there. Hugging the knees. And just relaxing the abdominals back down. Fabulous. Going into some hamstring stretches. So have your band or your tights or your stretchy belt, whatever you happen to be using, and just place them underneath your foot and grab the ends. And you can have the other leg bent or you can have the other leg straight. It's entirely up to you. But you do need to make sure throughout this exercise you're keeping your whole body still. It's only the leg that's doing the moving. So bring the bands down so the backs of the arms on the floor, and that's where they stay. The shoulders firmly imprinted on that mat. And then just take a lovely hamstring stretch. Oh, lovely. See, you can relax those shoulders. So hold the band in a way that you've got your shoulders back and down. Lovely. And from here, you're going to send the heel up to the ceiling and peel the toes down towards your face, just to give it that extra bit of welly. Just intensifies that stretch a little bit more. Just make sure you're not lifting the tailbone off the floor. Sometimes people sort of go into the habit of actually lifting the pelvis off. We want that spine nice and long, as much of your spine on the floor as possible. Now point the foot to the ceiling, so you're stretching along the front of that foot, front of the ankle and the shin. And then from here we're going to go into hip circles, so just drawing circles on the ceiling with your toe, using your leg like a compass. Now nothing else is moving, keeping everything quiet. The hips need to be still, so you're moving that leg independently. I'm going to just caterpillar my supporting leg away from me because I want to do slightly bigger circles and it's going to get in the way. Just finding what movement you have available to you there, whilst keeping your hips nice and still. You can increase that movement as long as you can keep your torso and hips still with your newly acquired abdominal muscles going in the other direction now. Oh, got a tight right hip this morning. Inhale, I'm inhaling as the leg comes in across my other leg, and then I'm exhaling as it goes out over the edge of the body. Because we have to remember that we're breathing out the effort part of any exercise. Breathe out for effort. And then bring that leg back up to the top. Now I'm going to flex that foot loosely. I'm not pulling it down towards me. And then I'm bringing it across my other leg. So bring it over. But watch, don't lift this hip up. The hip of the leg you've got extended needs to stay on that floor so that you get the benefit of the stretch down the outside of that hip. And then you're just gently seeing if you can stretch that leg, not too hard, but a nerve stretch. And then banana the foot, so the big toe comes down, as if you're trying to get the big toe down towards the floor. Oh, that's nice, now I've got a cramp. And then lift the leg back up to the ceiling. Bend that knee, we change legs in the air. And place the other leg flat on the floor. And then give it a bit of hamstring stretch here, just stretching the other leg, noticing the difference. There will be a difference, it's really normal. One side can be dramatically worse than the other. Lovely. Bringing your band down to your arms, sinking in your ribs. And then sending your heel to the ceiling, peeling your toes back down towards your face. Seeing if you can just get any more, even if it's just a millimetre, a smidgen more into that stretch. It just intensifies it dramatically there. Fabulous. And then point the foot to the ceiling, stretching out the front of that foot. Front of the ankle, front of the shin. And we're going to go into our hip circles. So we're drawing, just starting with like little saucer-sized circles. You're looking to see if you can get those circles nice and smooth. Nice and fluid, and just seeing how wide you can, how big you can make the movement, and pushing the envelope. See how far can I actually, how big can I make that circle, and keep my hips still with my abdominals. So your abdominals are actually really used in this exercise. And then changing direction. If you need to get the other leg out of the way, just caterpillar it down. Watch that the supporting leg isn't moving actually in any other way. It should stay still. Lovely. And bring that leg up to the top and just loosely flex that foot. Bring it across the underneath leg, keeping the underneath leg parallel. I like to take both the bands in one hand and then I grab hold of my hip of the leg that I've got extended, because that just helps me to know for sure that I've got that hip down. And then I get more of a benefit of that stretch down the side of that leg. I don't always hit that stretch, it really depends, but I've got it quite strong on this side today. Then curling that banana foot down, so your big toe is coming down towards the floor. Getting that lovely stretch. Lovely, and then back up to the ceiling. I'm going to go into glute stretch now. So have your feet roughly hip distance apart, and just bring one leg, doesn't matter which leg, on top. So your ankle is, the outside of your ankle is just on your thigh there. Drop your knee loosely out to one side. Now just have a little look at your hips and notice where they are, and then place your head back down. Now use your abdominals, so really engage your abdominals right up from the pelvic floor. Really pull up underneath, zip them flat right through, and then rolling pin over that rib cage. So you're fully engaged, and then use your abdominal muscles to lift your foot or your leg off the floor, your underneath leg off, and then take hold of the back of the thigh. Because that's it, you're all in there. Because if we don't, what is so common is that people do this, and they wrench the back, and they're not using the muscles they should do. So I like to use the abdominals to bring the leg as close as I can, and then reach through and take hold. Then we're wanting to bring the shoulders back down to the mat. We've got to be joking this now. Now, you can just have a gentle look. Use your abdominals to come up and see what's happened to your hips. See if your hips have gone away from the site of the stretch. So I've got my right leg up, so I'm feeling the stretch in my right glute, my right buttock here, and down the piriformis as well. So you should be feeling that. Now, there's a couple of things, if you're not feeling that, that might be going on. One is you're not bringing the underneath leg towards you enough. That's the most common one. The more you bring that underneath leg in, the more of a stretch you'll feel. The other one is that your hips kind of shifted in the opposite direction. So where you're feeling the stretch, your hips go in the other way. You're trying to get away from it. So you might want to bring your hips back central and then go again. And that is just the nervous system's way of trying to just sort of spread the load a little bit, try so that you don't feel so much of a stretch. But when you actually want that, you have to fight that compensation that it's doing. And then lower that leg and change sides. Drop that ankle, lower the knee, and then use the abdominals. Engage those to lift the lower leg off so you're not going to hurt the spine. And then reach through. And we're aiming to get shoulders back on the floor. I'm just going to check where it hits because they've gone wonky. They've gone on the wonk. That's it. They're better now. It's quite hard to keep them there. You'll notice the difference because you'll suddenly feel a bit more of a stretch. And just really see if you can feel that gorgeous stretch in your, well, for me it's my left because I've got my left leg up. I'm feeling it in my left glute. And you get a nice piriformis stretch as well. Really putting that underneath leg gently. You get a lovely stretch there. Those three, your hamstrings, your glutes, and your quads, and your psoas at the front of your hips, the things that give you a bit of a niggly back, so if you can stretch those out, often you can actually solve the problem. Great, we're coming on to our side now for our side series. So have a cushion, you've got a cushion handy, underneath your ear, your arm long in above your head, and then your feet flexed and your legs long. I can just see my feet in my peripheral vision, so they're just a little bit angled forward. And then send that top leg a little bit longer than the underneath leg, so you're lifting underneath in the waist. And then you can either have your hand on your hip or have your hand in front to balance, but I like to keep that collarbone nice and wide. Inhale and exhale as you lift that top leg up. Inhale as you lower. Watching your tummy muscles are still pulled in, so you're not arching in that spine. Exhale, lift, inhale. Remember, we're breathing out for effort. I'll take any breathing. Breathing's just good generally. There is no real right or wrong. It's just making sure you're breathing in and out, in phase with each movement. And now we're going to stop halfway. We're going to take small circles in one direction. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, changing sides. 8, 7, 6, changing sides, changing direction. 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower. Bringing those knees up to 90 degrees. So on my thighs, a 90-degree angle to my torso.
Pulling in the abdominals again, just bringing the ribs back in. We're going to go into sweep. So just lift that top leg slightly so it's at your hip height. And then extend that leg forward, flexing the foot, sweeping the leg long. Imagine someone's got hold of that foot and they're pulling it away from you. It keeps you activated under the waist. As the leg goes behind, bending the knee, but we're pulling the tailbone through to the front so we can't arch in the back. And that gives you a bit of a stretch in the quad as well. Then unfolding at the front, flexing that leg, lengthening that leg away from you, lengthening the hip. And bending the knee behind, bringing it back through. And again, final time and flex, lovely big sweeps, stretching that leg away from you. And then bending it behind, pulling that tailbone through and down. And then finally into our clams. So just bring your legs down to a 45-degree angle now. So your heels are in line with your sit bones. Tummy in, ribs in. Inhale, exhale, and just opening up that top leg. Inhale as you flex. And again, exhale and lift. And inhale, close. Exhale and lift. Inhale, close. You can squeeze the glutes here if you wish to. Depends which muscles you want to work. But generally, if we squeeze the glutes, we get a bit more of a turnout in those legs. Now, stay in this turnout position. Inhale, exhale, extend one leg and flex the foot and point. And then bring the big toes together, but keep the knees out at this diamond shape. And then inhale, exhale, extend, flex, point, bring the toes back together and close. And again. And extend and flex. I'm fighting cramp here in case anyone didn't notice. And then back together, lovely, and give your glutes a bit of a lovely rub here. And then we're going to go to the other side. So whichever way you need to go to, so you can still see me. And we'll do that on the other side. Arm is long above your head, cushion underneath, and your feet nice and flexed. Check out your tummy, your ribs, make sure you're not arched in that back. And then decide where you'd like your hand, whether you want to have it for balance. Inhale, exhale, and lift. And inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. The leg is parallel directly to the side. As if you're between two panes of glass. That gets said a lot in Pilates. Keep lengthening in that top leg so you're lifting under the waist. And then we're going to stop halfway, taking circles in one direction. And 6. And 5. Try and make nice smooth circles. And try not to cut off the back of the circle. 2. That does challenge your stability, I know, if you're using your hand on your hip. Going in the other direction now. Keeping the rest of the torso still, so it's just the leg that's moving on its own, nothing else, everything else is stock still. And then relax that leg, bringing the legs to 90 degrees. Tummy in, ribs in, lifting that leg to hip height. Extend that leg in front and then flex the foot. Show me the soles of your feet. Lovely. And sweeping nice and long. Imagine someone's got hold of that leg as they're lengthening that away and bending that knee behind you in that giant cycling action as I take out my curtains and my plant at the same time. And then bringing that leg through to the front, flexing the foot, lengthening that leg away. And then going behind. One day I'm going to be wearing these curtains. You can all be fit. And then final sweeping through, lengthening that leg. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Oh, I've kicked the plant. I must have lengthened. And bringing it back down. And then we're going into our clams. So we're going to lower the legs to 45 degrees. Your heels in line with your sit bones. Tummy in, ribs. Keep banging on about those. I know. And then opening up that knee, just bringing the big toes together. Inhale and close. And in that lovely diamond shape. But the spine, make sure you're not arched in the back. Keep pulling in that tummy and close. And squeeze the glutes. and close. Exhale and close. 2 more. Inhale as you close. Exhale, staying with this one, extending that leg and then pointing that foot, peel the toes back towards your face and then repoint. Bring the big toes back together but leave that lovely shape there and close. 2 more. Exhale, extend and flex. Point. Bring the big toes together. Close. Final one and open. Squeeze, squeeze glutes. Extend the leg and flex. And point. One of those flies. Bring the toes together and close and just rub those glutes. Give them a good old rub if they're feeling a little bit on the stiff side. Fabulous. And then we're going to go onto our front into quad stretch. So come onto your front here. How we do? Sorry, oh, good, good, fabulous. So have your palm facing down. Doesn't matter which hand you use. You're going to put your forehead on the back of your hand and just bend your leg behind you and take hold of your foot. Now, if you can't get a hold of that foot, I know some people do struggle, you can do the old lasso trick. You just make a little loop in your band, your tights or your belt, whatever you're using, and place your foot in. And then you can kind of use that as your extension lead behind you to get that quad stretch and that resistance that you need. So if you can't reach it, that can be done. That's one method. So once you've got hold, we still, boringly, want the abdominals pulled in. So we're trying to get away from an upturned drawing pin underneath your belly button, and then gently pulling the pubic bone towards the mat. So tuck that tail under and bring the tail right under. And that really increases the stretch in your quad. Good grief. That is strong today. Largely to do with my tango activities last night, so I brought it on myself. And then gently pushing the top of your foot into your hand, very gently, and just increase the resistance with your hand onto that foot as well. So you've got that kind of closed loop resistance going on with your foot and your hand. So you're still gently pushing into your hand, but you're resisting it. Then you should be able to get more of the front of your hip down on the floor, onto the mat. And then change sides. Other hand up, your forehead on the back of your hand, reach round. And same thing, pulling your abdominals away first from the floor. And then tucking your tail under. You've got that real scooped tail feeling. Bringing the pubic bone through to the mat. So you're stretching in that quad. That probably just intensified your stretch. And then when that's got a little bit used to it, we're just going to push the top of the foot into the hand and resist that action with the hand. So you've got that lovely resistance feeling. And if you would like to, you can take hold of the other foot as well. It's a bit of an add-on, or you can stay in that other leg stretch, whichever you prefer to do. If you had, what you could do here, if you had a worse side, you could go back and do that side again. That's always the thing to do. But if you want to go for it, we'll pull the abdominals in here, bring the tail through to the mat, and the pubic bone through to the mat. Inhale, exhale, rotate the shoulders back and down, and push the top of the feet into your hands, and resist that with your hands. So you're now in your rocking. And just bring your neck in line with your spine, and then see if you can rock gently on your tummy as well. And there's a breathing pattern to that. You can use your breath pattern to help. Get on and just release the legs down. We're going to come into our child's pose stretch here. Support your back here by coming into your prayer stretch on forearms. But if your back is okay, you haven't got any problems, you can drop your forehead down, have your arms behind you. If there's any men can sometimes find it difficult to sit right down, so you're on your haunches. So you can put a cushion here to kind of bridge that gap to help you. Some people are quite just tight in that area, so they need that extra cushion. And then we're going to come up using only the abdominals. Just the abdominals, nothing else. Vertebrae by vertebrae. And then I just want to finish off with a foam roller stretch. So if you haven't got a foam roller, you can use a towel rolled up. And I would, if you're doing that, I would add your cushion in at the end so you've got an extension. Or if you've got a swimming noodle, that's great. But you can do this flat. It's not a deal breaker at all. I'm going to use my weights, and we're going to do the arms series. It's just a nice one just to loosen off the chest and the shoulders. If you've got a foam roller, fabulous. If not, don't worry too much. Fabulous. So I'm going to sit on the foam roller. If you're on the floor, you can do this too. And we're going to have our feet hip distance, well, I'm shoulder width distance apart, sitting up nice and tall. And then pulling the abdominals in, we're going to have a roll down. That's it, roll down on your foam roller. Lovely. All the way down, controlling that. You need your head and your pelvis on. Whew. It's warm now. And just making sure here that you're fully connected to the object that you're on, whatever you're on. You can do this on a ball, actually. It just won't be quite so effective around the shoulders. It will give you that feeling of instability. And I'm going to bring the shoulders, the arms up to the ceiling with your weights. You don't have to use weight. If you've got an iffy shoulder, might not be a good idea, but otherwise use weights. And then we're just going to release the shoulders forward so the arms come up to the ceiling a little bit more, keeping the gaze long down the room, and then drop them back. You don't want to look up at the ceiling if you can help it. Very tempting though that is, and I keep catching myself do it. But it breaks the neckline and makes you do this, which is not so good for the neck. So keep that gaze long along the room more than anything. Probably you're trying to look at me at the same time. So just as you exhale, reaching those arms up to the ceiling and back. And then from here, we're going to take the arms out in our flies. So coming down to the side or your T-shape, however you know this. Just taking the arms level with the shoulders, but not allowing those ribs to ping forward like binded. So pop those ribs down so they're nice and flat. In fact, you're pushing them back of the ribs into the foam roller. Then power those weights back together as you bring the arms in with an inhale. Exhale as you lower back down to the sides, feeling strong here, sending the ribs into the foam roller, the tummy pulled in. Inhale as you power them back together, back muscles, abs, ribs. Exhale as you lower. Inhale as you come back up. Exhale as you lower, and then lower the arms all the way down to the floor now, so the backs of the arms are on the floor. And then sink the ribs back into the foam roller. Don't allow them to pop out. Pull the abdominals in and just have that gorgeous chest stretch. It's such a lovely feeling. So difficult to get into this. It's ideal really if you have something that you can stretch over so you can feel that stretch in the front of the chest and possibly the front of the shoulders here, the deltoids as well. The more you can sink your ribs flat, the more of that you'll feel. And then inhale, exhale, stretch the arms away and power them back up here. We're going to take one arm overhead, one arm down by the side, keeping the abdominals on, pulling the pelvic floor up as well. While we're here, we can be thinking about the pelvic floor. So often gets ignored. So pull up as if you're trying to stop yourself going to the loo. And then just keep that line going right up through the abs and across the rib cage, keeping them nice and flat. Because if the ribs pop out, they'll be the ones taking the stretch and you won't be feeling the benefit in the shoulder. And exhale every time you lower. So you might not be able to get your arms down quite so low, but you'll be getting a more effective stretch. Bring both arms up to the ceiling now. Inhale, exhale, and take both arms overhead. Watch those ribs. And then we're going to snow angel around the body. But we're not going to hang in the arms. We're keeping the ribs active, the tummy active to help support those limbs all the way round and down. Inhale as they come back up. Exhale as they go down. Using that exhale as you do your snow angel. Inhaling as you reach your hips to come back up. Exhaling as they go. Keeping the ribs down. Keep bypassing my plant on my curtains. And then bringing your arms down by your side. Relax your weights now. Slop off your foam roller in one direction carefully. Push it away. And just lie flat. Oh, you are welcome. That feeling is so nice when you get off that. More of a spine connection, shoulder connection, pelvic connection to the floor. Just feel totally relaxed after that and fully stretched. And then we're going to very slowly turn over onto your side. Put your knees underneath. Tuck your toes underneath. Come through your squat. Come through your roll up. Abdominals, remember. Only your abdominals helping you come up. Reset your spine. Head is the last thing to